Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to a very, very special Life Talks with Crystal Phoenix. Because today, number one, in the village, it is part of our Nobody Alone for New Year's stream that we are doing for today and tomorrow, but it is also to introduce you to some of the amazing writers that participated in my very challenging but very needed anthology about domestic abuse awareness. Now, um, ironically, there's a few people in the chat that are supposed to be up here. And actually, Poet, if you want to join, Poet is one of the ones. He gave us the poem that I put in the very beginning of the book with the introduction about depression. He's an amazing person. Misha's supposed to be up here. She has her angel chapter. And then we have my beautiful sister and mentor, Jen Lynn, and friend and sister Kristen. Now, what's funny is I've actually known Kristen longer than I've known Jen, because we met through the Expose documentary.
Yes, we did.
And so the three of us have all worked in this area together, not necessarily writing together. Well, Jen Lynn and I, we've done 3 anthologies together now. 4?
I think so. I think this is number 4.
I know Beyond Boundaries and Beyond Boxes, but I didn't think you did a Rattled Awake with me.
No, I did not. And I didn't. So, you know, just 3. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you've done a long ride. So.
No.
But Kristen and I have worked together in other ways. She participated in Jen Lynn's domestic abuse summit, and like I said, expose. And I know that your little is around, so I'm gonna actually hand the mic over to Kristen first, because we never know when the little's gonna jump in. Although I would.
Yeah, she's about ready to bust in the door any minute. Actually, I was like, "Why don't you all go to the park?" And she's like, "I don't want to." And I was like, "Really? It's the park." Like, so I have just a few minutes. What would you like me to share, Crystal? Just about my chapter personally, like
share a little bit about your chapter, a little bit about yourself, and since we didn't really go into any backstory about your poem that we shared in the angel section.
Okay.
I'd like you to actually tell a little bit about that to give our readers a little bit of story behind that beautiful poem. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can do that.
I can do that
for sure. Thank you for that. So a little bit about myself. My name is Kristen Foltz. I am an intuitive parent coach, energy healer. And for the last 4 or 5 years, I have really been on my own soul healing journey in the trenches with my clients and my family. And we just got through a significant family traumaversary season, if you will. And so now that we're like, okay, that wasn't too bad. We are ready for 2025 to roll around in just a few hours. And as I was writing my chapter, just in the last 30, 45 days, I have really hit hard, in those nooks and crannies and the shadows that are that soul level trauma and that I share about in my chapter kind of rose up, to the point where the person I was writing about surprised myself and my little in a school play where they were halfway across the country, didn't tell us they were coming. And so it was I manifested this person who I struggled to heal from for a long time. And so it has been a full circle, because when I was writing my chapter and I was sharing, this is the most vulnerable and bold that I have been about really putting into words what I experienced and what my little has experienced. And I am an advocate of dealing with it as soon as you can, whenever you can, the best you can. And that looks different for each person, whether that's coping skills or verbal. And one of the things that we experienced in the chapter that I shared was the fact she didn't have a voice. She couldn't say to me, this is what happened, this is how I felt, this is what was going on. And so there is a chunk of time that I write about where I'm just filling in the pieces. I'm intuitively going through, okay, this is the timeline, this is what's going on. And so her and I have worked energetically significantly together. And I felt like I wasn't ready in my own healing journey, even though I have faced the shadows and like Crystal has done, you know, a rise of the phoenix through the ashes. Like my whole life burned down weeks and months before this particular trauma happened in 2019 at Christmas time. And I wasn't ready to talk about it until now. And in 2014, in many ways, this has been a dumpster fire of a year. At the same time, there has been so much personal growth and deep soul level healing that has happened. Like I thought I was good and I had done the steps and done the therapy and done the energy work and like faced the shadow, right? And then when I was writing my chapter, I was like, there's still some more stuff that I wasn't expecting to come up. And so I had to give myself time and space to process that. And I texted or messaged Crystal and I was like, hey, listen, I know I missed the first deadline, but if you'll accept it, here's the chapter. This is what I want to say. And she's like, you are more than welcome to have a space to express yourself. And I really appreciate and honor that for you, Crystal. And I am forever grateful to the space in writing this. Because it has been a while since I have shared about the healing journey. I've been in 2 other books about healing intuition and knowing your truth and knowing your voice and standing up for yourself in those moments of darkness and how to heal from them. So the poem that Crystal mentioned actually was channeled through me by Gabby Petito. I was in the thick of doing some healing work around my own domestic abuse and season of life where I was told, you know, if you speak, I will destroy you, essentially. And I was very afraid and I had a little human to protect and I went inward. And so when this whole thing happened with Gabby Petito, I was in the season of just trying to figure out, do I speak? Do I not speak? I had exited that situation, but I wanted my voice to matter more than it did at the moment. And within 10 seconds of hearing and just seeing a flash of Gabby, I knew immediately a couple of things. 1, she was not with us any longer. And 2, I wanted her voice to be heard. And I went to bed, I literally 10 seconds of footage. And I was like, this beautiful human is no longer with us. I knew immediately that she wasn't in the 3D existence anymore. And I went to bed thinking and dreaming of her. And I woke up the next morning. This was before her remains had been discovered in the Tetons. And I love the Grand Teton area. We go to Yellowstone every couple of years. We're supposed to be going back sometime in 2025, taking the grandma with us so she can experience the beauty of the Tetons and Yellowstone. And so I already had an instant connection with the free spirit and the yearning for the peace in the wilderness. And I took my little to preschool that morning and I sat in my car at a park I don't typically park at. And I was just looking at the trees and I said, okay, I was going back and forth. Do I tap into this? And, you know, as a channeler and a messenger of spirit, sometimes there's things that, you know, personally we have to be ready for. And that was my first full-blown experience of speaking for someone else, but also having a resonation of my own story intertwined in that as well. And within like 15 minutes, she literally came through me. I wrote down the words and it was a done deal. Like, I think I put maybe a couple of commas and periods into everything that I had written for her on her behalf. And I mentioned about laying by the still waters and, finding peace in the wilderness. And these were things, and triangulation, manipulation. There were things that I had no idea would become part of her discovery journey just a few days later. And so when it was discovered that she had been, obviously, departed from us in the 3D, by someone who was supposed to love her and protect her, it was like a punch in the gut. Not because I didn't know, but it was like that affirmation of, I wish I wasn't right. I wish this had just been a beautiful spiritual experience of someone that was going to come home. And I just knew that her work and her life desire to be this traveling nomad was going to somehow intertwine into my life experience. And, she wasn't one of the lucky ones in the sense of coming home, but I feel so honored and blessed that I was able to exit my situation. The night that I left the farm with my toddler and not much else, I wasn't sure if I was going to become a statistic that night. And I haven't talked about that fear and that betrayal as deeply and pronounced as I have in this chapter. So I'm over here, trying to be bold and be outward, but also I gotta say I'm feeling a little vulnerable here because I'm sharing some deep stuff. But I want my voice to matter too. I want to be able to speak for individuals like Gabby. And for now, I have closed the mediumship door, but I have also expanded many ways in my clairvoyances and my clairs, in my intuitive work, working with spirit and other entities and things like that in the healing journey for them to heal. And so this chapter is part of my testament to standing up to the darkness, standing up for truth and honor and integrity, and saying we are thrivers. We are not victims. We are overcomers. We are not a witness to the darkness that we have to be silent for because it's out of fear. So I appreciate you, Crystal, and I'm honored to be working with the other authors as well in this. And thank you so much for including my poem at the end called Into the Wilderness, which is dedicated to Gabby Petito and all those who haven't made it home.
Absolutely. And I also, I had put a picture of a collage of cardinals that one of our other co-authors had made, Helena, she's an amazing artist, and her art is all over actually in there in different spots. But because I was raised that when you see a cardinal, it is the spirit of someone you love coming to visit. And with the Into the Wilderness, to me, I felt that picture just was perfect to kind of close that, and that the poem was the perfect thing to end the reading portion of the book, because I did, like I did with Rise of Crystal Phoenix, add just a compendium of different resources. The village had given me a Google sheets of a bunch of different links, plus all the ones that I had gotten from Anastasia from Expose that I had put in Bry's. So it does have your resource list as well at the back. So welcome, Brian, to the stage.
Hello.
I'm so glad to see you. You have
Nice
not
to
had
be
the
here.
pleasure of meeting my beautiful friends yet, Jenlyn and
No, I have not.
Kristen. He actually got me to take a break and watch an entire series of movies, Children of Dune, because we were talking about it, and convinced me to actually sit down and stop. He did something not even you can do, Jen.
I just talked about it. So
he just caught me at the right time, actually, because Jen actually has gotten me to stop a few times.
Always glad to help.
Yeah. So I know you have to leave as well in a little bit, Jen. So honestly, I asked you to write Amy's story for the angel section because I wanted people to know that it's not just because if someone's abusive in that moment doesn't mean that they're evil. Her story, the reasons behind it all, which is what you shared, is why she became an angel. And I would like if you could kind of share a little bit about that whole time. And
just I think just like we when we say this about ourselves living, right, that we're not our circumstances, that we're not what happened to us, and that is the same for the deceased. It is the same for those that were sick and ill and that lived a different life experience than the rest of us. And I have a very different view on what all of that looks like. And so I have to be, I will tread lightly. If not, most people.
It was more like just the trauma with the being the first responder and everything. I almost wanted to just like title it with something like that because you didn't really give me a title. So
I didn't even. I wanted. I've written in a couple of times. So the other part of the story was I wanted this to be for my son. Not just the heaviness of the experience, but memories of the good times and even the times that he didn't necessarily remember because he was too young, because we were together for 13 years. And so I wanted that to be a little bit lighter for him. We were first responders, and because of that, there's so much that goes in with trauma when we experience trauma as children, adults, right? And being able to process that through and or not. And it literally changes your brain in every way possible. And there's not really a level of control that can be had or found, right? So the entrapment becomes, we know that, we understand that, and to a degree, and we love that person, right? And so we don't know what to do, and or there are all the other things. There's the fear, there's the oppression, there's the depression, right? And all of those things that go along with that. For Amy was my wife, and she's the angel. It was a progression of a disease process, and that disease, right, is depression and trauma. Complex PTSD is a disease, right? And all
of the glory.
And so that's what we were, that's what we were looking at. And I don't even, I was thinking about 4 months after her funeral, I had written a poem, and it is lost. And I always am like, man, I don't know what happened to that. And or because then my son, and I was just thinking about the poetry and how powerful that is, because that day when I had written that poem, I did share it with my son because we were both having such a hard time grieving. We had no idea how to grieve. And he wrote a poem as well. And I don't have either one of them, and that gets to be fine, but I don't. There's so much, right? Like I am writing a whole book, a whole entire book. I have to do a book all together and not spread out in these little pieces.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's why I'd like to say writing in an anthology is writing like your prequel or the
Mhm.
summary on the back of the book, the cliff notes. But I honestly, when I first thought about your chapter, I was tossing around the idea of titling it with first in, last out. Please don't forget, kind of along those lines, because of the whole first responder and the things that you see and everything. Because I imagining myself as Amy, seeing all these horrible things and it just weighing slowly on her, and on all of our first responders. And the mental health is not, it's getting better with our first responders and doctors and everything, but the mental health push is not there the way it should be.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. There's so many other things that go into play there. Shift different, there's a shift. I can't remember what it's called now.
Differential?
Right? Yeah, basically. Well, there's a shift diff in the sense that you're working, but we have to also take this in mind too. Now there are laws against this, but when we were working, there were not. And we would literally work 100 hours straight, no sleep, covering shifts because people were not showing up. And when you don't get to go to sleep, somebody's having an emergency. It's your job. It's what you're there to do, and you're going to go do it. And so all of that takes this huge toll. I will always say this. If you eat well, exercise, meditate, journal, right? If you will do all of the things, listen, I'm still here. I'm still here because of those things. And I did those things then, right? And taught. You want to talk about some imposter syndrome, really, for real. I was over the entire county's department of stress release for the hospital, police department, fire department, first responders, right? And my wife is the one, that we're having this big, huge struggle with, and that ended up losing her life, taking her life. And almost took mine, right? I almost lost my life. And so, it's a lot to unpack with the mental health and recognizing that you actually are experiencing something. There was such a also denial. Everything's fine, right? The river denial is deep and wide.
Ostrich syndrome is alive and well.
Yeah,
is what I used to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
My mom was really good with ostrich syndrome.
Yeah. So I think that I put until the last rose dies.
Yes.
And
and I've read the continuance.
So if you need a chapter title, that's it.
Well, I actually titled it "You'll Always Be My Angel," or "I'll Always Be Your Angel." Basically, that's your first line kind of thing. But it's I read your angel chapter, Misha's daughter's chapter, and everybody's chapters were amazing. Jen, I didn't really think I was doing one, and then I did end up writing for my sister. It's the shortest chapter in the whole book, except for the poem. But at the same time, each of these chapters show a different side, in the angel part. With my sister, it's about the fact that no, hers didn't end in violence. She gave up. Her husband left her not once but twice because of addiction. and everything when she needed him the most. And she literally just gave up, but she's still, an angel to domestic abuse. It was financial and emotional, and just like most of them, it was a pointless, avoidable death, which is why I included those, that section. But
yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad that you did. There's, I don't know if you're familiar with like the 4 basic like types of suicide that each person is kind of experiencing as they're going down that road or that thought process. But at the same time, I know why you say what you say, but I just have to say, because I think it's so important, is that she may have given up, but it was not a lack of will, right?
No, her body literally gave up. She stopped taking care of herself. We've had talk about suicide and everything. In fact, come the new year, I'm going to get back into the 10-week suicide awareness deep dive that I had already started, and then went into editing hell and holiday hell. But so I wanted Brian to come up because he is a poet, and his poem that I put at the beginning of the book just really spoke volumes to me about being in the midst of trauma, period. So that's why I had asked, and he was like, cool, I get my name in the book, rock on, let's ride. But if you wouldn't mind, Brian, do you want to share a little bit about why you wrote it? And it is a short enough poem. I'm more than happy to let you
okay, yeah, I'll be more than happy. I'm a child of trauma. Okay, my first 13 years were lots of ups and downs, lots of chaos, instability. My dad was an alcoholic. Violence. I saw a lot of alcohol-fueled violence. My dad, that was from the time I was born till about 4. Then my sister's dad, he was an alcoholic too. Blah blah blah. It's a lot of it's just textbook. The poem came about as a result of an email exchange I had with someone that I don't talk to anymore, unfortunately. But I met her through, you know who Doug Scott Kramer is? I met her through Doug's channel, the chat. We'd correspond, and she helped me with a few things. And back in March, she just emailed me and said, I forgot the exact thing, but she wanted me to write something, and that's what came out. The muse is fickle sometimes, and she is.
We know all about that.
she smiles on you in ways you don't know at the time, And but if you want me to read it, I can. It's really
absolutely
short.
Go ahead. Yeah, it was the perfect intro for the intro.
Okay, let me pull it up. Okay, it's in there. But yeah, it's called On Depression, and I didn't know what to call it at first, but
I just listened like that.
That's what came to me. Okay, and
I've got it. I was gonna say I've got it right here. I could share my screen if you wanted, but
well, if you want to, you can. So people can read along. But yeah, the images in it are actually my yard. It goes. Depression is funny. It can take on many forms. Mine has been the state of my yard. Overgrown and thick with weeds and sticker bushes. I told myself it was a garden for the wildflowers, a home for cute little critters. But there are briars and brambles in them there bushes, and they draw blood when you start clearing them out. See, the circumstances around me writing this too was I was doing a lot of work in my yard to clear out all the, because I hadn't had a freaking lawnmower in 2 years. So yeah, it was just a lot. It was a manifestation of my inner, the yard was a manifestation of my inner self. And I've got the scars. I don't know if you can see them, but yeah, there's a few of them here and there from all the briars and brambles that I was messing with and stuff. So you know, but I'm glad it worked out to where you could use it.
I mean, after hearing that, do you agree? I mean, it is really the perfect way to start the book. And then Kristen's poem about Into the Wilderness really was a great way to close it.
Yeah, I can't wait to actually get into it because I know it's going to be so beautifully laid out.
But I didn't trust anyone to order, right? Because I ordered it.
The Kindle is I have to revamp the
paperback.
Well, then I need to cancel it again.
I told you not to order it until I said so. So that's my fault. That's not my fault. I
just bought the last copy off of Amazon. Teresa.
You know what's funny about all that? You go ahead and get it, Brian, but I'm gonna have to send you another one.
I'll go ahead and keep it.
I want the one that's not ready. That's going to be worth some money. Are you kidding me?
That one,
the first
the one that's not ready doesn't have Brian's poem in it, doesn't have your bio in it, or Kristen's poem in it. So, and a few other things. It was. I'm not gonna lie. I have a lot of huge amount of respect for Nick and Lonnie and CJ and Willie and his team and Annie and all of them for putting together these anthologies, because I'm not gonna lie, because this is going to be an annual project. I'm already talking to Cherry and Chris and a couple of people on doing a specific anthology with disabilities and abuse for him and them. I'm gonna have an assistant.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this alone again. I can't.
I don't blame you.
I was gonna say something, I forgot.
And a much better organization.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
My advice is give yourself a month between the time you actually submit it to be for review for Amazon and all that stuff, and the actual publication. That way you can get a proof.
Yeah,
and you can read it backwards, because from my own experience, this book right here, this is the one I self-published on Amazon, right? And I didn't figure out until I actually put some of the limericks in here into Suno that on one of them I actually transposed a couple words.
Those are the things that make them those are the things that people are going to be digging to find,
So I've got to do a second edition of that pretty soon anyway, so I'll just go ahead and do some corrections, and I've got a couple other poems to put into it.
I'm thinking honestly about just skipping over the paperback and just doing a hardcover because of the struggle that I'm having with it.
Either way, you can through you used current Kindle Direct Publishing, didn't you?
Yep.
Okay, so either way, you can do the hardback first. It's just either way you want to do it.
I want a hardback.
I bet you do.
Well, they're all soft. They're all of them have been paperback. So
I know.
I love,
and with the way that the cover is, I do think it would be really pretty in a hardback.
Yeah, I was going to do a coffee table book version of this. As the person who did the cover, I love the cover on this.
Yeah, I was looking at it.
Yeah. She turned out to be a troll. Yes, I met her through the SPTV community, right? And we did some stuff together. And then she went down one path that I didn't want to go down. So we're here. But we were going to actually illustrate all of them and put out a coffee table version of it. And some of the illustrations we'd worked on together were great. But that's the way the ball bounces, you know.
Yeah. So, Jen, you remember that I had like actual 3 separate covers and everything.
Yeah.
Well, I still honored Whitney, by the way. Because I didn't do 3 separate books. I used all 3 of her cover work in the book.
In the side.
As sections.
Yeah, I hate to interrupt, but I got my dog barking at me. He needs to go out, so I'm gonna duck off.
See you later, Poet. Thank you for coming up and sharing.
Nice meeting you, ladies. It was nice, yes, and everything. And bye.
I love putting Poet on the spot. It's fun. So,
I got a question for you, lady. Can you hear me once or see me twice? My phone or my computer has come.
You're echoing.
On me.
You're echoing really bad.
Can you fix that and kick me off?
Hold on.
I'll come back.
Now I can't hear you at all.
Hi, Chris. And Teresa, I do have a YouTube channel. It's at Jenlyn, UNBN. I'll put it in the comments for you.
Yeah.
Can you see me?
I don't know. I can see you and hear you, but you're echoing really bad. Hi, Misha. Hi.
Hello. Sorry, I had to restart my computer. I was having audio problems.
Me too.
That's what I'm hearing. I'm like, well, maybe it wasn't all just me, or maybe I don't know.
So
I don't hear the echo, but that's just on my end.
I think it's Kristen. She'll come back. Yeah. See, and I can't hear you with. We'll unmute Kristen and see if you're still echoing. Nothing. You might have to just leave and come back. Because we can't hear you, honey.
Technology, they say.
Yeah, right?
Make your life easier, they say.
Yeah. We can't hear you at all, honey. Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm loving the tent that is in their background. Kristen, that's awesome.
Yeah, we can't hear you. You are muted, Kristen.
Yeah, it's showing muted on the StreamYard site. Oh, my Lord, phone.
Yeah, I'm breaking mine tomorrow.
Yeah, it's mine's. I thought was already broken. That's why I was like, why should I hear it?
Yeah.
Guys, thank you all for being a part of the village. This is really awesome. Getting everybody to get to be seeing each other and get to know more about each other. It's really awesome. So thank you.
So actually, while Kristen and Jenlyn are actually here, since this is the first time I've really had Jenlyn's attention in over a month. Hey, you were doing your summit, and that was a beautiful thing. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I know.
But I haven't really been able to like tell you about the village or anything, and I've been wanting to. And Kristen, I do think you're gonna have to like leave the studio.
Yeah, she's completely frozen.
Yeah. So, but so Misha, why don't you explain what the premise of the village is and everything, since we're here and got
The
new
village,
victims.
right? The village, for me, I was a single mother with no support whatsoever. And looking back on my life and, kind of like the genie in the bottle thing, what's the one thing that I would have done differently that I think would have helped us a lot? And that was having a village, because they say it takes a village to raise a baby.
Yeah.
And I did mine in reverse. But by God, we're growing villages. And it is incredible to see people coming together when I thought I was all alone for so long. And now when I stumble, there are people there to catch me. And now when other people are stumbling, I'm helping to catch, and we are doing it together. And I mean, we created a 48-hour live stream that was impossible in most of our eyes and ended up going 52 hours straight.
Nice.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's going to be something that will be elevating. Everybody has a story. And everybody's story needs to be heard. And if you want to tell your story, we want to help elevate it, and we want to help share and make your voice join with ours. And we're going to be screaming beautifully together. Resources and just all kinds of people coming together and showing that we don't have to be separated. We don't have to. We can be celebrating our differences.
Yeah. And I think it's really beautiful because there's so many people that are doing that and have been. 9 years, about 8 years ago, I guess, my business partner at the time and I started with that precipice, right? That it was time for us to have villages, to share our resources, to be able to amplify one another, lift each other's story up. Together we rise, right? Was our mantra. And it felt like we were the only ones in the world doing that until COVID happened, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, it just slowly starts being able to where you will be able to make the contact with people across the grid, as I like to say, across the globe about, okay, there really are people, right? Like we've been telling ourselves that there are people that are doing this thing too. And then now we really can connect. And I think it's a beautiful time to be alive on the planet.
It really is. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. We were born for such a time as this. Right.
Yeah. I agree. So, now, like I said,
Teresa, it's good to see you, love.
Kristen, try to talk.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. Woo-woo!
Just like Horizon.
I'm down. Oh my gosh. I don't know what my computer was doing. It was like I couldn't get back to you all, and then somehow I was able to get back in, but then it was echoing and my comments are like 3 at a time. I don't know.
No, that's because
that's
we're
the simulcasting.
streaming to 3 channels and 2 LinkedIn accounts.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, technology is not my strong point. So like I muck it up sometimes. So that was probably operator error somehow, some way. I don't even know what I did, but I'm back.
I blame StreamYard.
Bite me.
I blame StreamYard.
Thank you. But
you're so funny.
Since we're all here, and we've got about 10 more minutes, why don't you share, your ambitions and wish for the new year? Why don't we do a little round table on that one to close this out?
I will go last because the hubby just now come in, so I will go last.
Well, it looks like Jen Lynn's like ready to go, but she always is. So.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's what I've been spending the last week since the 30 days, right? But well, for one, I'm going bigger, better, harder, all of the things. I am really, though, amplify, I think, is the word for the year, and myself. I have spent my life amplifying other people, and I will still amplify other people, but I have to amplify myself, right? So I'm going to be doing a lot of that, and my big goal is to grow my YouTube channel. That's my goal this year. Like this last year, it was LinkedIn. This year, it's definitely 100% YouTube. And when I come back on the 6th, I am launching like 7 things. Everything's changed, rebranded, podcast, actual podcast, live streams changed, like all of the things. So fun, exciting. I spent all day long making this beautiful trailer video that I was like 70% through rendering and had to completely exit out to come. And I was like, oh my god, because I have to go back again. But it's good. It's good. So always growing and expanding.
This is the place to do it. And I have access to the Village YouTube channel to add the link. So I will be adding that. Basically, with the Village, we support each other's lives. We get views. We help grow everybody. And if you have a good mental health or just a fun cookie channel,
I love whoever you are, come as you are.
Yeah. As long as you're not no, throw a little glitter on it, and the trolls are good too. Party Monster reference. Jen Lynn might have gotten that movie reference, but I don't think anybody else will. But it's just
funny.
Hi, Barbie.
So Kristen, well, hopefully your sound is working. Why don't you share?
Okay. So we did this morning with my little family, and in my Facebook group, I'm doing a Release 24, Welcome 25, like little healing event and everything. And so I kind of brought it to the home front, and I asked my husband, what are you releasing? And it was self-abandonment, fear, and what we were welcoming in was our authentic selves and amplifying our voice. So my word for 2025 is expansion. And man, I got to buckle up and like put my big girl boots on, because like I'm already expanding and I'm like, okay, I don't know if I can handle this. But my main thing for 2020, well, there's 2. I want to, in some capacity, get my Wellstead, which it is a combination of holistic living from the land with an aspect of emotional energy healing, kind of like center, using the catalyst of high-end glamping in a grassroots holistic niche, if you will.
Right.
So that's my number 1. My second one, so that's the Harmony Hill Wellstead. And then the second thing is I want to start a podcast. I've gone back and forth between names. So I'm in between the Healistic Mama or Holistic Healing Journey. And so I'll do the whole as I find my words. I'm like anxious about saying it. I've got to work on that throat chakra. I'm going to be growing my YouTube channel to then for the video side of things, but also doing the podcast. And I have basically been hiding in plain sight for the last 5 years since all that trauma that happened to myself and my little family. And I'm ready to just blow the popsicle stand out of the water and just be like, here I am, bees, whatever works, that might, ruffle the holistic mama, community. But that's really what that's my niche, is mamas that want to heal their inner child and deal with their mental health without, lining the pockets of big pharma. And I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, you can call it a truth teller in 6 to 8 months, whatever you want to call it. Like I am no longer part of being the sheep in this orchestrated theoretical drama we call life right now. So I'm, busting through all of the mainstream stuff and working on feeling like I'm being burned at the stake. My DNA, the fact that, the witches will rise again. Baby, I'm one of them, and embracing that.
Well, I love to say this, though. It wasn't witches that were getting burned at the stakes. It was women, and we're women, and we're stepping into our power. And so that is a beautiful thing. And with that, I have to leave, sadly, but like, good luck. I wanted to say to you, Kristen, because it'll be a while before we run into one another again. So,
but wait, don't leave.
She has to.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Just come back, because you guys all have a spot here in the village. Please come back.
Oh,
thank you so much.
I've wanted to talk with you for a while anyway.
Yeah.
You can.
I'm the mediator. Yeah, I will take care of it.
Okay. Thank you.
I will do what I do
Bye.
best. Love you, Jen.
And Kristen, that stands for you as well. Welcome to the village.
Thank you.
And we look forward to going on this journey with each other and lifting each other up. So you got this. We got you.
What's funny is like you have your nonprofit that you want to do. And I've talked to you about like the sanctuary idea that I have. Misha and I we've talked in depth about this because of what happened with her daughter and everything, and because they have these the sanctuary programs for sex traffic survivors, but us as domestic abuse victims, we get a safe house for maybe a week, a month, and then you're back out on your own. And so, and I don't like that. I really feel like we need, a sanctuary like other trauma victims do have to help, reintegrate and everything. Because when it comes to domestic abuse, people are like, oh, you're out, you should be fine. No. We have to learn how to trust again, how to do a lot of things again, depending on the level of mental abuse, and with the physical abuse, be able to be around others to work and things like that, So
yeah, it's a struggle, that the mind effery that happens with domestic abuse, and especially when we are wanting to be loved and connected to the very person that is using us, and the whole Stockholm syndrome thing, and the PTSD is complicated and layered, and mental health. And when you're out of it, that is just the beginning of the journey to healing. And even on a DNA level, the mind has changed, the body has changed, the body keeps the score. My background is in social work and neuroplasticity. And doing my TED Talk in 2018, I was in the thick of leaving that domestic situation. And I was the social worker preaching to the choir, shaking in my heels on the stage. And I remember thinking, that imposter syndrome is kicking my ass right now, but I'm taking this stage regardless of the fact that I might go home and do some tomorrow, but I'm not going to let my voice be silent. And a whole bunch of stuff happened. We had the Traumaversaries, and then 2020 came along, and that was finalized. That chapter of life was finalized. It has been a heck of a ride 4 years of continuing my own personal healing journey, but also supporting others. And it's I can't be quiet anymore. Like there's part of me that feels very vulnerable in sharing that part of the story, because it wasn't a place that I publicly shared. But no, that doesn't define me. That's part of the journey. But there are so many other women in wanting to create that safe space to heal, and using the glamping and the Wellstead as a catalyst to help those that are now out heal. And having a nonprofit has been in my heart since I was a teenager. I'm 22. So that's been a while, but it has always resounded profoundly, the North Star has always been helping people heal. It was the horses, and then it was children, and then it was families. Our stories matter, our voices matter, and it's taken me a long time to say that even though I was advocating for others, like what I want to do next is more than what I can see in front of me, and calling that in energetically on a soul level, and connecting with Crystal and other people around the community and the village and things like that. And that's so important to me now, because I went inward, and my husband and I were talking about this the other day. Like, we love people, but we don't want to be around people.
Oh, I don't know nothing about that. No.
I want my inner circle. They got to be heavily vetted, heavily invested in their own healing journey. It doesn't have to be with me. They have to be showing fruit of, working with the triggers and dealing with the darkness and healing their shit. I mean, like, I want to be this quiet spoken, Bible believing person, but in the end, I'm like, hear me roar, and I'm somewhere in between informing and like busting through the ranks,
Yeah.
And I don't know what that looks like. So I'm excited about 2025. 2024 was a dumpster fire. There was so many opportunities for healing that happened in 2024. I'm ready for 2025. Like, come on, let's dance.
This is our year.
Yeah.
This is our year.
What's funny, like 2024 really was like a year of like rebirth and really retrospection and like looking within ourselves and growth. I mean, it's been 14 months since full no contact with douchebag. And in those 14 months, I have now been published with 8 times, 7 anthologies, and my solo. And that's all in 1 year. And every time I wrote a chapter for an anthology, it was just really freeing. And that's why I started this project, was because I wanted to give other survivors the chance to heal the way that it was helping me, like how doing expose helped both you and I. You know what I mean? And it's hard, and I get it. That's why a lot of us, I didn't do a solo chapter. I wrote my chapter for my sister, but I do not have a personal chapter in this time. Hello, Cosmic. I love you, sweetheart. She actually has an angel story in as well. But it's just writing the stories are very healing, but while you're doing it can be very activating, and because you're remembering. Once you get that purge done, yeah, it feels great. But getting there, and then all of us are very particular in wanting our stories to be told right, to where they don't trigger people, but you get your point across about moving through the motions and everything. And it was hard, just me having to edit and everything, So I can.
I don't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry, but
no, you're good.
My ADHD brain, and like I'm processing, and I'm like thinking about all the things that like I'm like, yeah, girl, go. That is something that it took me some time to be able to not get triggered by helping somebody else heal. And I can see from your perspective how triggering it would be to read an experience, and like I've already created a space where I'm going to do that, and then I'm just going to like, because that was hard for me when I wrote in my other 2 books. It was hard for me to read the other stories, and there was a point where I had to put it down because I was like, this is just too for me. And I was in a completely different space now. Like I can do it now. I couldn't do it 3 years ago.
Yeah. And that's just it. Like doing the work that we do. And we met 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Doing the work that we do is hard. Even just as YouTubers, one night, I've been joking, I'm not Captain Save a Ho, I'm Captain Save a Show, because it's 4:30 in the morning and one of the village members, their StreamYard was not working. And I was like, all right, I'm up here. I gave them my StreamYard, but I did not know what the in-depth interview was going to be on. I actually wound up waking Misha up and being like, I need you to mod. I need you here. I've got to walk away, because it was a very deep dive into all kinds of domestic abuse. Now, if I know what I'm getting into and it's not 4:30 in the morning, I can deal with it. I can process, I'm ready. But when you're just thrust into it, it's a lot harder. So
even still, when we're ready, though, sometimes we don't have any idea the triggers that's going to happen, and they will hit us off guard 20 years later. Sometimes it's being mindful of that and realizing that we're still going to be okay, and being able to step back and to give ourselves the self-care with that. Vicarious trauma is a real thing, and we've got to be willing to take care of ourselves to be able to even consider being there for others.
Self-care, what's that?
For real. Pot, meet Misha.
So really quick, me and multitasking. Let's see what you guys think of the cover for the hardback real quick.
Well, let me get out what I'm doing for the
Go
years
ahead.
I am getting rid of the plastic. I am getting rid of all the expectations. And then I'm bringing in the fight, the standing up and fighting against the muck. That is what I'm ready to get. I'm going to get started on, because we for too long have sat in my yuck and my muck. And I think we all just need to start standing up and actually fighting before the fight really gets rough.
I don't disagree. I've been doing the whole cleaning out my closet thing a lot. Kristen and I have had a few conversations about that, actually. And Anna and I are actually, we never talked about it, but we're good.
I'm glad to hear that.
Some things some things are just better left alone, and I think this is one of them. We're good now. So.
And even as far as the expose, I've watched most of the episodes, but even watching some of those and hearing what I've said back then, because that was like over 2 years ago now. Wow, I've come so far. I am so proud of the version of who I am now.
Yeah.
I want to protect it and almost cocoon it. I was like, nope, we're not cocooning anymore. We're getting out there. We're doing the thing. But I even had, there was where I was like, oh man, like they got me in the feels, because I was like hearing my voice and the passion in it. And like, I was so scared to give that interview, because I was coming out of, a situation that I thought was great, and it wasn't as fabulous as it ended up being. And, healing my throat chakra, my own voice, and trusting my intuition. Like, I felt betrayed by my intuition, because I was not expecting what happened when my daughter was taken from me, against my will, in the blanket of, trying to amicably work through what life was going to look like, because I was leaving that abusive situation. And it was hard. I thought she was not with us anymore at a point, because I wasn't sure. So it can fuck somebody up.
It definitely can. Definitely.
And then speaking about it now, 5 years later, I'm like, you got to be proud of yourself, because you're either going to be consumed by it or heal it. Like, there's really only, in my mind, there's two options. You either live with it or you heal it, so you can thrive and be the best version of yourself that you can be. And that's a hard place to be sometimes.
Yep. Very fulfilling when we can.
Yeah. Forgive me. The Village, is that a entity? What exactly is the Village? I would love to know more about what that is.
It's a coming together of a misfits channels and people that have never necessarily felt their place. Like, we're all a little bit eclectic. We're all a little bit different, but we're all beautiful.
Awesome.
And it's coming together to where that nobody has to be alone. Mean people suck. So if you act mean, you're going to have to do something. But other than that, everybody's welcome. And even the mean people, if they don't go wrong with it, if they just want to come in, because mean people are mean for a reason, you know, and so everybody's welcome to that point. But we are elevating each other. We are, if there is something that we are lacking, there's going to be somebody else that can come forward and help with that. And if you've got something you want to say, we're going to bring it.
Awesome.
Just support.
Well, I appreciate that welcoming, and I will definitely be a part of that community. I have, as my spiritual awakening has unfolded over the last years, instead of, I was out 5, started about 3 years before I felt, I tried to leave a couple of different times and got gaslighted and love bombed back in. And at the time, even though I was, a social worker saving the world one child at a time, I couldn't get out of my own safely. And belonging is something that I've lost in family and friends and community. And I've done it alone. I've been the lone wolf for a long time. And I'm trying to believe that by having that community again, it would be a beneficial thing for myself and for others. But after you've been betrayed and basically burned at the stake, it's hard to trust again. And so that's where I'm at now, is who do I trust? And
the people in the village most of us have all been through something pretty recent, even just in the YouTube realms.
Okay.
We understand that, and we don't want you to ever do anything that you're feeling uncomfortable with. We just want to help you get better feeling for yourself. We don't ask anything except for just for you to come and be you and enjoy. And that's it. We never want you to feel unwelcome. If you need something, let us know, but we're not asking for anything more than that. And that is in itself, I think it's very freeing. We want you to come as you are.
Well, that's beautiful. And I can't wait to learn more about everyone that's already in the village, because I would.
And just to let you know, I think I'm looking at the schedule now, and I think we might actually have an opening or two. Just letting you know, just throwing that out there for anybody. For tonight or tomorrow night.
Because Matt's off tomorrow, so I have already said I'm not.
Right.
But I, since I've got you on Facebook, Kristen, I'll invite you to the group and everything. So, because that's how we usually communicate about what we're doing in the village on YouTube anyway. So.
Okay.
And we do have a few different mental health chats and things like that I actually feel you might be a bit of assistance with, actually. But we support each other. We have a PTSD chat, anxiety chat, autism. I think we have 16 different just supporting each other, like chat rooms. Awesome. That you can go into at any time.
Yeah, I'm definitely a neurodiverse, trauma-trained, trauma-fired, not fired, but like I've gone through the fire of trauma.
Been tempered.
Holistic mama who wants to help other moms connect with themselves, their inner child, make peace with their kiddos, and, intuitively parent them and help them heal what they experience. And abuse can really tear a family apart, and bringing in that felt safety that so many of the survivors lose in the process, and helping them find themselves. I mean, that's really what my divine mission is to help mamas find themselves again and connect to their children intuitively, holistic and energetic practices.
That is awesome. Welcome very much. Welcome here. We're very excited to have you.
So, On that note, I'm surprised the little one didn't come running in. I was actually looking forward to seeing Emmy.
Well, normally she's like, "Hey, girl, what you
Yeah.
doing? Talk to my people." She calls talking to her people. Like,
I know.
really,
And
I need to update my YouTube little blurb, my little trailer. But she's all like, "Hey, peoples, my mama's gonna heal you. I don't have any more swimming lessons." She's like 3 years old, and I just.
Love it.
I don't want to give that up, but I'm like, I really need to update it. I convinced her that she needed to go to the park and get some of her energy out. So at the very least, I was like, bye, go to the park. So,
well, when she gets back, give her a hug from Aunt Crystal and tell her I said Happy New Year.
I will. She's asked me a couple of times, can you show me that flying cat again?
I
She sent a picture a couple of weeks ago and she's all about that flying cat.
yeah.
Aw.
Misha, we've got to figure out how I can make a stuffed animal out of my my Kitty Phoenix brand.
Easy.
Good.
There's a website.
Okay, have fun. You've got the picture.
I will send you the link, my love. I'm doing my this year
Nope,
is saying no when I can't.
fine. That's fine. I'm
finding my inner, what is the word? I'm finding it, whatever it is.
Your inner bitch. Cool.
No, she's always been there. But my yeah, my Guido outside and inside. I've got the Guido outside now. Working on one inside.
You just need to work more on delegating. Although you're getting better, I'll give you that. You're getting better, little by little.
We've all got stuff we got to work on, though. So we're just that's it too. Is realizing that it's okay
to ask for help.
To ask for help, but also just to be who we are, and to be okay with that. To realize we're broken, but by God, the things that can be made with broken.
Not
disco
broken.
balls, kintsugi.
Not broken.
The blue bowls that's got the gold running through every time I see them, I'm like, that's too cool.
Yeah.
Kintsugi, man. And that's it. And this is, we've got people that are willing to see the beauty in what we see ourselves as broken. They're willing to see the beauty, and they're willing to be patient enough to come together and help each other put the pieces back. I love it.
It is a good community, Kristen. I do think you'll fit in.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Marissa is going to be here on Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, we have some appointments, and I don't. She would definitely, my little would definitely be bouncing in and be like, "Hey y'all, what you doing?" So we got some appointments on Thursday. I don't think I'll be able to make Thursday.
Yeah. Well, there's always replay.
Definitely.
Because I believe Marissa, Soraya, possibly Sheldon are going to be joining for Thursday.
Okay, cool.
So we'll have a few more of the amazing authors coming up and just sharing a little bit about their story. And don't think you got out of that, Misha. You didn't share about anything about what you wrote about.
Well, I'm going to be on still for another hour, so
I'm not.
I know. I figured because you guys were on here and I was late, so I figured I'd just do it after the fact, and that way,
All right. Well, I am tired. I'm not gonna lie. I have been burning the candle at both ends trying to get this book out, and Kindle is out and it's perfect. It's done. I'm not. You guys, if you have any other edits for the Kindle, sorry, I'm done. It is published. Everybody's drop links are in. We're good. No more. So, and I will, guys, I have that little QR code that's right up there is for at least the USA. The Kindle version is free until Friday at midnight. But please review, post a review on Amazon for us, because that is how we can get our numbers up to get us, ranked number one, international bestseller, things like that, so we can get the awareness out. Each and every one of these stories I believe in. I wanted them, and you guys are taking back your power, giving your family members back their voice of healing, of hope. And the message needs to get out there. So let's spread it, please. I love you guys. Thank you for being here and for being my amazing friend. Happy New Year.
Thank you for being here. This is our year.
Agreed.
I agree, but I am going to go and tuck my little white
Get out of
ass
here
in the bed. And
Hey,
take
I'm
a
gonna
nap.
stay on this link though, and not have to
That's
mess with
fine.
anything. So
That's fine. Just
I'm gonna
send
have
me.
to- They've already told me they're on the way. So
But send me a text if you want to bring anybody up, and actually, I'll just give you like authorization kind of thing.
yeah, I thought I already had it. It looked like I did, but I
Yeah.
may be wrong.
You probably do. So, but love you, and happy New Year. Give the baby a kiss for me, and I will see you guys later.
bye.
Bye. Mwah.
Guys, it's gonna be just
Love
me.
you, honey.
I love you
Well,
too.
I'm
Hey, it's 1:17:17 on this live though. That was kind of cool.
yeah, that is. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna stop streaming to Jen, just because,
Yeah, that's fine.
I love her, but I don't think she needs all that, and I'm gonna stop streaming to my LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's what we kind of decided too, was to go to less channels this time, just like the Village
Yeah.
and whoever else it is. I think
For the book, I
became a little
wanted to
much.
have it going to my LinkedIn,
Right. Yeah, I think it just became a little much with everything last time though, so we're good.
Yeah. So now it's just going to be right now. We're just doing the two. Oh wait, and
Getting
no, it was Jen Lynn's LinkedIn as well. So now it's just my channel and the Village.
right on.
So, hey, you're getting me view hours. Thank you. Love
I
you.
know.
You did that on
Love you
purpose.
too.
Thank you. Great Christmas present. That's your way of saying thank you for the cigarettes yesterday, right?
Right.
I love you. But
I love you
like
too.
I'm going to mute and
Get out of
I'm
here.
going out of here. Bye, guys. Hugs.
Well, guys, it's just little old me. So I'm going to go ahead and read you, if I can. I'm going to go ahead and read you the story that was put in there from us. And so I'm not going to be able to see chat for just a little bit. So I want to go in here real quick and see if I can see everybody and say, hey. We've got Echo. We've got Barbie and Cosmic, or Kazi, and hello, Uncle Polly, 420. And we've got Tiff. You guys, it's so great seeing you. And Healing Hope Coaching. That was great to meet you. And forgive me if I'm missing anybody, but these eyes just aren't what they used to be. So I'm going to get in here and I'm going to start reading. And I don't have a trigger warning up. If anybody is able to, if somebody could put one up for me, which I don't even know if I have any mods in here. Let's see. On the Village. Did y'all hear the echo? I'm always prepared though, right? Misha. We're going to play this.
I've walked through this world with stardust in my eyes. The light no longer here for me, still it fills the skies. Chasing down the rabbits, but I'm caught in this show where every scene plays on, yet nowhere I can go. I'm tangled in webs of things I never chose. Like pages left to gather dust in stories never told. A world out of reach, so close yet left behind, trapped in endless threads within this fragile mind. Through the shattered glass, I've watched you fly away, while I remain in shadows where the memories decay. Our light belonged to worlds where dreams were born, but here I stay, left in the dark, my heart forlorn. The Cheshire grins and riddles left behind play out as twisted scenes within my mind. In this broken mirror world, we both should stand, yet I am left to drift alone through all these grains of sand. Reflect like broken mirrors, replaying in my head, 1,000 pieces scattered, sharp and cold and bare. 1,000 pieces scattered, sharp and cold and bare. Each one a ghostly vision, suspended in the air. Through the shattered glass I watch you fly away, while I remain in shadows where the memories decay. Our light belonged to worlds where dreams were born, Through the shattered glass, you've won your place, while I remain here, lost in this cluttered space. You were the dream, the one who was true. My sins became the shadows that enveloped you. Through the shattered glass I've watched you fly away, while I remain in shadows where the memories decay. Our light belonged to worlds where dreams were born, but here I stay, left in the dark, my heart forlorn. Through the shattered glass, you find your place, while I remain here, lost in this cluttered space. You were the dream, the one who was true. My sins became the shadows that enveloped you.
It's a little long, but my music actually really helps me. So I wanted to share that and give me a little bit of confidence up. So, oh, crap. There we go. This is my part of the anthology. The morning sun, and then I get to the wrong spot. That's Kazi's. Okay. The morning sun casts golden rays over my worn coffee cup. Its handle chipped from years of quiet battles and too many late-night reflections. The steam rose gently, curling upward like a silent prayer. The world around me buzzed with activity, oblivious to the jagged edges of my reality. Yet somewhere beyond the veil of my grief, I could hear her laugh. The echo of a melody that no longer graces earth. Christina Ray. There are moments in a mother's life that feel eternal. Holding my newborn daughter for the first time, I remember the weight of her tiny body against my chest, and the unspoken promise that I would protect her from every storm. A promise only this last decade, which I realized was impossible to keep. And she had the most delicate yet perfectly manicured fingers and toenails. And I counted each one with care. I remember how lovely she was. Her smile, as she looked up at me with the most trusting eyes. Those eyes. It was those eyes when first introduced to her big sister Samantha, and they both smiled with recognition, that I was able to witness what true love looked like. As I watched the two most important beings in the world convey their own proclamations of love to each other, my understanding of family finally started to take hold. As Christina grew, she became my teacher as much as I was hers. She saw the world differently, her mind weaving intricate patterns and her heart carrying more weight than it should. When she sought medical help as a young woman, doctors called it schizophrenia. Later, I would come to believe that they were wrong. Her mind danced on the spectrum of autism, not madness. Although no label could encapsulate her essence. Christina was an artist in the most unexpected ways. Hers was an art of being invisible in a world that should have honored her existence. Later, her talents became that of survival, sketching dreams against the backdrop of a world that too often painted her as less than. The bruises on my soul come long before Christina's darkest battles. Domestic violence leaves invisible scars that time cannot erase. And though I thought I had clawed my way free of that suffocating grasp, its shadows lingered. I did learn how to, I hate this, how to escape, but unfortunately not in any way that was healthy, at least not back then. From my own demons, I began to retreat, and in doing so, I allowed them to spawn even more pain my children's way. You see, the violence finds ways to dig its claws in that others cannot often see. Without even realizing it, we began adding more links to the chains that we would be free. Slowly, I too became the monster under the bed that I had always warned them about. Instead of standing firm, I crash-landed one day when the final straw fell and broke the camel's back. That one day turned into a journey that destroyed all of our lives, leaving the four of us never to find our way entirely back. From that one day, we lost more than just our home. We lost so much more. Christina's life became entwined with the kind of men who exploit vulnerability and destroy innocence. Sadly, she was shown her first lesson, her first heartache by none other than her very own father. An unbelievable fate that caused her to spiral towards an escape she never found her way out of. She fled to a state more than 600 miles away from anyone who loved her, who knew her at all. The one constant comfort she had was the guarantee that anywhere she went, she could find drugs to take her away. Even if only in mind and spirit. It was the only friend in a world incomprehensible. She had nowhere she could call her own. Nothing that was hers, not even her own anonymity. She became homeless for several years, caught in the undertow of sex trafficking, addiction, and the unforgiving streets. I tried finding help, calling every public service office I could find from so far away, and rarely found another who would even listen for more than long enough to transfer my calls to the unending rabbit holes of wrong numbers or voicemails that never returned calls. Even the police who brought her to a friend's home after being found, literally left in a ditch for dead, as they reported, were more bothered by further time on a case that they cared little enough to handle the first time. I begged for her safety, pleaded for her return, but her world had swallowed her whole. To the system, she was a statistic. To me, she was my heartbeat walking outside my body. I fought every institution that dismissed her as just another addict, or shrugged her off because of the dirt beneath her fingernails. She was so much more. Christina was love incarnate. Even when she couldn't see it in herself, when we were still all together, we knew it would take at least 5 minutes to say goodnight. And that is because Christina had a tradition. She had to tell each one of us that we were loved multiple times. Just about the time we would fall asleep, another farewell would slip through in her voice. She had the kind of strength that would hold galaxies together, even while her own stars were collapsing. She'd call me in fleeting moments, her voice a thread of hope amid the static. She'd tell me about the tragedies that she both watched and lived through. a public bus full of people, all watching as she was forcefully beaten. And nobody, not even the driver, stood up to stop. She later found out that the attacker had AIDS. She was devastated when she was diagnosed with HIV. Her remarkable comeback no longer allowing for her future children that she always dreamed about. Emily Elizabeth. I always knew I'd have a grandchild who bore that same name as every one of her favorite dolls. Even taking her prescriptions regularly proved difficult. After the first or second day of getting them filled, they would be lost. Nobody could provide a feasible solution. The doctors wouldn't listen, especially to someone who could hardly be consistent. Missing appointments due to transportation issues, even when set up through advocates or shelters. And she was always losing things. Every time we spoke, she was trying to replace her IDs, social security card, etc. I discovered much too late that it wasn't just my adult child's carelessness. Her phones would always have something wrong with them. Usually the same thing, which you would have thought I would have been smart enough to put two and two together on, but alas. Some things are unbearable to believe. Even more so when a parent is powerless to do anything about even the easy stuff. One of the last times that we spoke, I asked her to please go to rehab, a shelter, somewhere that could be stable long enough for me to get some things figured out to bring her home. To quiet my own mind long enough to have a coherent thought. She patiently reminded me of her last attempt and how heartbreakingly disappointing it was for her. What is the point, Mama? I can't go through all those obstacles as they are, and that's without all the extra issues they bring. As frustrating as it was to admit she was right. Being homeless does make even the most mundane tasks nearly impossible. All the red tape, senseless requirements, and more expectations, but with little to no benefit given to actually help individuals gain a stable home on anything of substance. The last time she'd gotten hired on a job where the facility would be taking her to and also picking her up after her shift. The job was a requirement she enjoyed, as she's always been a hard worker. However, the rehab kicked her out for not getting back by the expected time. They did not consider that the ride never showed up, and she, without a cell phone or way to call, had to walk the 2-hour trek across Baton Rouge by foot. The world didn't see her. But I did. Christmas time had not been joyous for our family since we had separated all those years ago. But still, we never expected much to change that year from any other. On Christmas Eve, Christina and I had been trying to find ways to raise money for her to come home, finally. I had seen more work online that she and I both could do and was getting her signed up and explaining how it worked, but couldn't get her to stay on the phone with me or return my calls in a timely manner. This added to my frustration, my own weakness, my own weak mind of thinking that she just didn't care as much as I did. It was such a harrowing experience. The liminality of nightmares between each call's ending and the anticipation towards the next. A constant looping of every scary movie and detective show running on replay in my brain. I would be angry at myself for becoming angry at her for not keeping better in touch with me, with the one person who was supposed to protect her from every storm. My heart would finally beat again each time a call would come through. However, as soon as I heard her voice, my admonishments would start, and we would only be given a few more minutes to talk about other things before we ran out of time. God, how did I not see all this back then? We actually had a decent conversation the last time we spoke. Longer than usual. I could feel my body relaxing somewhat because I had Christina back, even if only momentarily. We were us again, like we needed to be, speaking dreams again, talking about our great comebacks, our past memories, plans. Whoosh. All of a sudden, everything changed. It was as if a cold winter blew in, and for 1 second, the longest second I've ever known, it felt like that moment was doing everything possible to hold on to a time that deserved to be known and fought for. Then my world shattered. I wasn't entirely sure what was happening. I just knew it was wrong. Someone had come in and was taking my baby away from me yet again. She said, but it's Christmas Eve. I'm talking to my mom. Immediately, I was in panic mode. I started asking her about chicken soup and Coca-Cola. Code words our family had used for years. But she didn't understand me. At least that's what I thought. The truth of it, I was the one who wasn't following. She said she had to go, but promised to call me back. It's been, which now has been, 2 years now. I'm still waiting for that call. I couldn't shake the feeling in my heart. We ate our Christmas dinner, made festive and jolly by our neighbors who graciously invited a hermit and her husband, who had nowhere else to go. I was numb, lifeless. My daughters, Samantha and Alice-Ann, and the Grand Princess came to see us on their route to spread Christmas cheer, but I was unable to enjoy them either. Something was wrong. Why hadn't we heard back from Chris? Not wanting to ruin their holidays with another of my usual mind trips to delusional paranoia, I tried holding it all in. I repeated this facade the next day as well. Praying, worrying, calling her phone, denial, standing in the cold abyss where dreams crash into. I kept myself busy until the phone finally rang, although it sounded much different than its usual chipper notes. It would not be the call I'd hoped for, but I had been waiting for it. I knew. My world exploded from the sound of the detective's voice on the other side of my sanity. I knew that the wind that took my daughter away would not bring her back. No matter how hard she fought, she was gone. I asked the voice, "Do you know who did it? Who killed my daughter? Did you catch him yet?" He said, "What are you talking about? She did this to herself." Lies. The very first of many since. I asked for clarification, was told quite frankly and without emotions, odd due to the juxtaposition my own were presenting, that my beautiful Christina was the one who stole my future hopes and dreams away. That she chose to leave this world behind, considering her life and all of her struggles. I wouldn't have blamed her. I often admired her perseverance and continued drive for the better. However, that is not what happened. I felt this within every fiber of my being. Something was wrong. Why would this man not listen to me? He allowed me and everyone else to believe for 9 months that she quietly disappeared with no cause for disruption. This deception proved more deadly once announced, as an afterthought needing to be swept under the rug like it was nothing. The loss of yet another beautiful soul had been taken violently on July 3rd, 2023. Her name is Rachel Ray, and she is the only witness to my daughter's case. She didn't have to die. This could have been avoided. Someone should have fought for these 2 women. They did not deserve this fate, nor should their memory be ignored or disregarded, as is currently the case. The weeks following were filled with confusion, pain, anger, betrayal, and guilt. I could go on. A switch was flipped that suddenly took all the things I should have noticed while she was still with us. They started all coming together to show a bigger picture, a better understanding. I tried to reach out to the detectives about Christina's case to little avail. What kind of homicide department doesn't have a voicemail? It was just as infuriating trying to find someone to listen while trying to find medical help or other life-sustaining help for my kiddo. It was nearly impossible to get someone even to answer now. And I had so much evidence I needed to share. With these systems in place, and my fur babe is upset with me. Public servants who took oaths to protect and serve were nowhere to be found. I grew a sense of understanding that keeps me awake more often now than I find sleep. After several weeks, I finally spoke with someone who I thought cared enough to help me fight for my daughter and other people's daughters. I sent all that I had proved Christina was being sex trafficked, that there was so much going on, and I had an insider's view from her Facebook accounts and history. I had an hour-long recording from the murderer, who more than gladly spoke to me when I called Christina's number in desperate attempts to glue the torn fabric of my sanity, hoping that she would answer again. I would hear her tell me to stop being so dramatic, that everything was fine. He was unable to help my fantasy. Instead, we went through his trying to convince me that I was the cause of her demise. A fact that I already knew. There was no convincing me necessary. That the police were investigating my motives, that he had actually defended me to them. He told me that she had gotten clean from the drugs. He told me she was coming home. He said to me that that is what cost her her life. Her death felt like an eclipse. The light she carried, that she fought so hard to protect, was extinguished in a cruel and senseless act of violence. I'll never forget the weight of the police officer's words or the way my world unraveled in slow motion, a detail that they mentioned with clinical detachment, as though it diminished her worth. They didn't understand, they couldn't. In the quiet aftermath, I found myself searching for purpose in the ashes of my grief. Every tear shed for Christina became a seed of resolve. I couldn't save her, but maybe her story could save someone else. Perhaps the world could learn to see people like her, the lost, the broken, the overlooked, not as problems to be solved, but as souls to be cherished. Ray of Shine Ministries was born and named after my daughter. Its mission is simple, yet profound, to be a beacon for those navigating the same darkness Christina endured. Through this ministry, I tell her story, the beauty of her humanity. I share her laughter, her dreams, and her kindness. I speak of her strength and the way she defied every label and limitation placed upon her. To the women who reach out, I offer a listening ear and the assurance that they are seen. I tell them that healing isn't a straight path and that their worth isn't determined by the worst things they've endured. Christina's life taught me that redemption isn't just about being saved. It's about saving others through the love and light we leave behind. There are days when the weight of it all feels unbearable, when the grief threatens to drown me. But then I remember Christina's voice and spirit. She wouldn't want me to stop fighting. She wouldn't want me to let her story end in tragedy. So I press on for her, for every mother who's ever felt powerless, for every child who's been overlooked, for every soul searching for a second chance. We used to talk about her struggles, and I would often tell her, your testimony will save lives someday. She knew this too. She said, even though I hate this, if I could do that, Mama, if we can save one life, I would do it all again. We just thought it would be her telling the story. Her love endures, and every life touched by her story, and every hand extended through Ray of Shine Ministries. It's in the hope that blooms where despair once reigned. I can't bring Christina back, but I can honor her. And in doing so, I found my own wings, not to escape the pain, but to rise above it. For her. For love. Christina's story is not just hers or mine, it's ours. It's the collective cry of humanity to be seen, valued, and loved. If you find yourself in the shadows, know that the light is waiting to embrace you. If you have a story to tell, let it shine. You never know who might need your light to guide them home. And I'm going to wait to read this. I'm going to let her sister read this. Thank you all for listening. Thank you guys for listening. I really kind of expected nobody to be there still. That's the first time I've actually read it from beginning to end. Even when I was writing it, I wouldn't read it all the way. I'm putting the sadness and I'm learning to work through this. And sometimes it's replaced with anger. Sometimes it's replaced with helplessness. But I'm going to use that to stand up, and I'm going to use that to fight. And I'm going to use that to make people realize she might have been, in everybody else's eyes, a drug addict. But I know who failed her. I know what she endured was more than anybody should ever have to. From even her own mom. Even from her own mother. Keela has a song that is really good. If I was on my channel alone, I would play that. I might later tonight. She was in every way my princess. She was my good little girl. She was the one who kept me in check. She didn't deserve that. And if there's anybody out there that comes across somebody that they don't know, and there's sadness in their eyes, think of Chris. Think of that little girl right there. And smile and look them in the eyes. Not with pity, with hope, with love, because people can hate for no reason. We should be able to love for her. All the drama in the world, all the hurt feelings that we go through, all the personal pain that we feel. There's people out there that are dealing with things that we can stop. We can stop that pain. We can stop it so easily if we would come together. We could stop that. There are people out there every day who thinks it's okay to take advantage of children. She might have been 26 whenever we lost her. She never had a chance to grow up. Becoming a drug addict is not somebody just deciding to become a bad person. You don't just decide that you're going to destroy your body. You're going to destroy your relationships. You're going to destroy everything, your future, your children. When you do the drugs, you're doing it because you don't understand at that time any other way to handle life. And we didn't provide our society ways for everyone to be able to handle life in ways that are healthy. We have sugar addictions. We have shopping addictions. We have so many addictions. What kind of pain is a person in when they are in the depths of their addiction? Maybe if we started looking at it that way instead of with judgmental fingers pointed and allowed them to see themselves as something worthy of saving, they might actually believe in themselves enough to save themselves. I get really upset and very, very angry at the world sometimes because I have felt those eyes on me. And to think that they go on my children because of me. I used to hate myself for it. I still kind of do. But the only way we can make change is by making change. If I stay in my grief, if I stay in my guilt, if I stay in my yuck, then I stay there. Proof. In my little 2 foot by 2 foot square jail cell that I created for myself. I can do some from the computer. I can be the keyboard warrior. These people are on the streets and they are dying. It's cold. I am freezing today. And I hate cold. I hate it. But at least I do have a roof over my head. It may not be the best. It may have holes. But there's a roof. There are people who had nobody. Not one kind person. Domestic violence. You stay. You allow the abuser to stay, even when you have left and went miles and miles away. It's 30 years now, and my abuser still has a place in my life. Not physically, but the damage is done. They're always going to be there. Oh, Barbie. That's it. I am so sad to see that. Nobody grows up and says, nobody says as a kid that they want to grow up and become an addict. We've got to stop looking at people like that. We've got to. Y'all, the pharmacy, drugs, they have become a weapon, and we have gone along with it. Instead of seeing an addict, see somebody who's hurting, who doesn't have the right tools. You're not enabling them. There's a difference. I talked to Christina even though I was an addict myself. I still played the part of the parent who was just wanting to help her daughter. Huh? A lot of good I did, huh? Barbie, I hate it. I'm so sorry. Your story, your nephew's story. I'm fighting for Christina. I'm fighting for Samantha, for Alice Ann. I'm fighting for your nephew. I am fighting for every single person that's voice is not able to be heard. And so I'm going to be sloppy. And I'm going to do things wrong. But I'm not going to let that stop me. Not anymore. I love you too. And she no longer has to struggle like that. Your nephew no longer has to struggle like that. And I have to think that there is peace and love on the other side. I don't know how it all works. But I feel her. I hear her. Now my biggest fear is to lose the memories of her like I've been losing my memories. And also not being able to do her justice. She went through that and would go through it again. She was beautiful. So people ask me what the village is for me. I would like to think that we can come together and do something to help right the wrongs before they happen. If I would have had the resources that I just have right now, excuse me, if I would have had them back then, instead of having to go through all this stupid red tape and all this stupid, you don't even know until you get there. And it's gaslighting to the extreme. It is crazy making to the extreme. Yeah. Exactly. We're building a village. We're building armies. We're not going to stand up for this crap to happen anymore. The first thing that we can do is education. There are too many ostriches in this world. And I understand. I get it. I even did it with her. I couldn't handle it. I was not strong enough to handle it. And so I told myself that her phone not working every time she got a new phone, and always being, not just once or twice, always the same thing wrong with it. The speakerphone had to be on. The detective told me that her driver's license was lying on her like somebody had taken it out of their wallet and thrown it at her. That's why she was always having to get new IDs. These are things that parents need to look out for. Even when they are grown, they're never grown. Our job as parents is never done. Even when they don't want us, we still need to let them know that we want them. I'm not really a great talker right now. I'm doing very little sleep. And I've had a really bad tender headache the last few days, apparently. And so when the live streams are over this year, I have a lot of reflection that I need to be doing. I have a lot of understandings that we've all come together on these live streams. I've got a lot that I need to make up for and apologize, because my God, you guys have been amazing. This right here is the start of how we can build and fight and do and make it to where that our babies are known, their stories are told, and maybe, just maybe, someone that is going through that might be able to find a place that they can come and that they can be who they are and openly talk about what's wrong and what their struggles are, and not have the fear of being ostracized or banned or judged or thought differently or betrayed. That they can come and they know that there are a group of people who have been there or who understand. And if they don't understand, they're willing to listen and try to understand. That there are places that people can come. Somebody that's being abused can come and know they don't have to leave right away, because it's impossible sometimes for us to leave right away. Sometimes we have to get our own minds and bodies working together with life, because life never works together. And when you've got yourself completely ready to go and you think you can do it, then something else happens and you have to stay. And being told by your family that you just don't want to, you just want to stay there, that's never going to get us out. Knowing that there are people that have actually left with nothing and are thriving now. How did that happen? How did we do that? How did we leave? Being heard, being listened to, being validated, even when we don't know how to do it. I don't know what I'm doing. I talk. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's cussing. Sometimes it's mean. Sometimes it is all these different things. And you guys love me. And I want to hear you guys. It's an incredible feeling. You guys give me hope. And I feel like we've all been led to this. Everybody, actually. Crystal, thank you. If you guys would just embellish me a little bit. If you guys could take your right hand and put it on your left shoulder. And if you could take your left hand and put it on your right shoulder. If you're not driving and you're able to, close your eyes and squeeze. That's a crystal hug. And those have helped me a lot. You guys, I really struggle on the daily. I feel like I'm not enough. Like I'm letting all of y'all down. And when I say I love you, I know it's not always taken that I love you, because I'm the same way. But I promise you, I see you. I'm really horrible at comments because I feel bad of leaving one person out. And so if I do, then I end up leaving people out, and I don't, it's just a mental thing with me. But I'm going to stop apologizing for that because it's putting in the way. I'm not going to stop apologizing. Let me get that straight, because that's just who I am. But I'm going to stop making such a big thing of it, because in doing that, I'm not saying hi to you guys. And I'm not alone anymore. And neither are y'all. We're going to learn this thing. We are going to learn this thing, and we're going to navigate through. That makes me very, very thankful. My hope in humanity had really been going away. And I think that God knew that I would find some people because I have more hope now than I have in a long time. That's because of Barbie. That's because of Aria. That's because of Keela, Brian, Kim. Let me scroll. That's because of all y'all. Crystal, Deaudrey. I love you guys. Todd. Are you still here, Todd? Ollie. See, that's the bad thing about the comments, because I never can see them all. Thank y'all for coming. And we can do hard things. Keela, we can do hard things, and we do them together. And when we can't, we do them together. Gregory, hi. And I need to play the anthem. I will do that. I'm not sure how long that runs. Tiff is going to be on later tonight, y'all. And she's going to have an open panel. So anybody that wants to come ring the new year in together, you can hop on. She said, welcome anybody that wants to. These live streams have been amazing. And if you guys could see all the work that's being done behind the scenes, if you guys could see all the people that are coming together, and they're having to put up with a lot for me, y'all. They are having to put up with a lot for me, but they are doing it, and just golly. We are doing these so that we don't have to be alone, so that nobody else ever has to be alone again during these times. If you guys want to be a part of it more than just what we're doing right now, we're going to be doing so much more. If you want your voice to be heard louder, if you want to do things, let us know. We're going to grow this. We're going to be a lot more efficient. It just takes time. And I thank you guys for being patient and for staying with us and for believing in this. I could not go through. I couldn't go through that if it weren't for everybody that I have met that's been put in my life. Because you guys are all going through it too. And I see strength and inspiration and miracles happen every single day because of you guys. Thank you for sharing that with me. And I'm going to try not to be so down. The next time you guys see me, I'm going to try to come up with something that's going to be a little bit more just out of the yuck. Because this is, whenever I go live, I can actually breathe. And I know I have to be still. And so my brain is like, what? These are cathartic. And even though they're scary at times, they are cathartic. And if anybody wants to come on and even just go with no pictures or no videos of themselves, we can make it happen. We will make it happen. If anybody would share links, that'd be great. Have a great dinner, Barbie. Thank you guys for everything. Crystal, that's right. All right, I'm going to get out of here for a little bit, y'all. We've got, oh, I have to anyways, because Mac's coming on and I don't have a link yet. I've got to get back with her. So I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to end with the anthem. I hope that I can get it on here right. Thank you all. Go out and check the book out. We've got some really powerful stories in there and some heart-wrenching stories, but stories of survival, stories of love, and of comebacks. The link is there on the screen. And I don't know. I'm hoping that this is the outro that she wanted me to play. I don't know. I'm going to play the intro. Then I'll play the outro. I love y'all. Mac's going to be on next. Can't do that. I don't know what I'm doing. Crystal, I love you, babe. I don't know what I'm doing on this. Yeah, I did. So, strike that rewind. I guess, y'all, you should see the schedule. I did it very not right. And so there was a misunderstanding, and we do not have somebody for today at 5 o'clock. And so if anybody wants to hop on, if anybody's bored, anybody just wants to come on and give Annette a break for a few minutes, until we get something figured out, though, I want to play another song. If you guys don't mind, I hope you don't mind listening to my music. It really does make me, it gives me an outlet for me to journal and for me to get things out and to see things in my head or hear things in my head in ways that I never would have been able to before, because I'm not like musically inclined as far as being able to do instruments or things. My instruments are AI. But it's really neat to be able to actually hear something that's come from my head out loud. And so let me get something on here for you. This one is actually, this is, depending on how long it takes, if we can get somebody to come up for a little bit, I'll probably play 2 songs, because one of them is about me and a narcissist and whether or not it's me. Because I do wonder sometimes.
Would you love me enough to tell me when my actions hurt, when I just can't see? Would you stop me from causing pain? I never want to feel like this again. How did I become this chronic woe? A darkness only others seem to know. Accusations loud, they pierce my soul, reflecting back.
Can you guys hear that?
An endless toll. I never want to be the cause for any pain, like I feel inside. All the words left unspoken, all the thoughts you hide. Oh, this pain, this endless pain, I can't escape. It's in my veins. Am I the monster? Am I the curse? In a world where everything feels worse, do you think I'm a monster? Hiding in your head, accusations whispering. As I lay in bed, all the nightmares creeping up. When silence fills the air, would you love me enough to show me that you care? Would you love me enough to say when my actions led astray? Do you see a monster in the night, or is it just my inner fright? How did I become this chronic woe? A darkness only others seem to know.
Seriously, I did that and you guys couldn't even hear it. Oh my geez. Okay, so we're going to be going to my Other's Keeper here in just a second, so I'll have some links for you.
In a world where everything feels worse.
And I might play this again later. I'm kind of proud of this song. It got kind of deep.
Do you think I'm a monster? Am I the monster? Life was perfect once, and life seemed then.
Quit. Okay. No.
Life. I'm walking through the daylight, dragging
this one I think all of us can relate to.
A shadow on my shoulders, a twist of love and hate.
And we're working on some links,
Every
guys.
step's a battle.
Thanks for hanging with us.
Every breath a fight. I'm screaming in the silence, but no one hears me right. It's heavy, oh, it's heavy. The things I cannot see, but they're clinging to my back like they own every piece of me. I'm not broken, I'm surviving. With this chaos, I'm aligning. It's a fight, it's a war, and I'm stuck here wanting more of a life, of a dream. But the weight is so obscene. I carry shadows, I carry screams, I carry all the things unseen.
And we can do shows too on how to do these songs.
I smile for the camera.
If anybody wants to learn how to
play
do the
my
music.
part so well. But inside there's a fire, and I'm burning in its hell.
We've got quite a few people that have done it, and
reach out
there's some beautiful
for an
stuff out
answer,
there now.
get a fistful of air. I'm choking on the laughter of a world that doesn't care. It's crushing, oh, it's crushing, the way it pulls me down. But I'm clawing through the wreckage, I won't let this be my crown. I'm not broken, I'm surviving. With this chaos, I'm aligning. It's a fight, it's a war, and I'm stuck here wanting more of a life, of a dream. But the weight is so obscene. I carry shadows, I carry screams, I carry all the things unseen.
All right, Key.
But maybe, just maybe,
I think we're
there's
fixing to all head over
something
to
in
my
this
Other's
pain.
Keeper.
It's
I'm just
twisted
waiting on a link
and
from
it's
that.
tearing, but it's keeping me sane. A reminder I'm alive, even if it's just to bleed. This anger fuels the fight, and that's the strength I need. I'm not broken.
Oh, I think we're live.
I'm surviving. With this chaos, I'm defining. It's a fight, it's a roar, and I'll keep clawing for more of a life, of a dream. Even if it's just a scheme, I carry shadows.
Okay. Fixing to be done, Daddy.